Good. All right. So what I'm going to do with you guys is quickly review these things. And you're going to want to do these things after you get the main story done. So just to kind of refresh your memory of what I want you to do. The rough cut. Some of you are done with the rough cut and waiting patiently for next steps. Some of you need to get caught up fast, right? When you're done with your rough cut, duplicate it. Duplicate the sequence like I just showed you and rename it to call it upcut. Right click, choose duplicate, call it upcut. Okay, you guys get the idea of multiple sequences now. Good. Okay. Next, right? The upcut is basically where you get really nitpicky and really kind of get a good layout of your rough cut. So it's a step above the rough cut. The idea is that you do stuff that takes the most amount of rendering time last. Stuff that takes a lot of rendering time is animations, filters, color correction, text, and all that stuff. So we're not there yet, but we're at this point where it's speed variations, fades, transitions, and necessary effects like picture-in-picture and all that stuff. So let's do those things right now. All right, let's get some footage in there first. First, I'll get my green screen footage in there. Boop. And then I'm going to get my, that's a bad shot. Let's do this one. I'm going to do this one first. And this one second. I'm going to put it right next to each other. Okay. Everyone follow along. I'm going to save speed variations for the end, because you all know how to do it, kind of. But I'm going to show you another way to speed variation. Let's learn about this toolbar here. Okay? So, if you're ever stuck or you're not sure how to get back to a tool, your arrow is not an arrow. Step one. Your arrow is not an arrow. Your arrow is a selection tool. I know that's very semantical, but I want you to consider your arrow a tool. Don't consider it just your arrow, okay? To get back to your arrow, you're going to press V. Why isn't it A? I don't know, but this one is A. This one right below it is called a forward selection tool, and what that one does is it selects everything to the right of where you click. So if there's any sort of graphic over to the right you click, you press A, it'll select it. So you can move whole bodies of stuff. V is your regular arrow. So think of V, because V looks like an arrow. How about that? Okay? All right, here's the fun stuff. You already know about the razor tool, which the hotkey is C. And I've mentioned the pen tool briefly. And I've talked about the type tool. And you might have this thing called the hand tool. I never use the hand tool. Some people do. But underneath the hand tool is the zoom tool. And that's another way to kind of zoom in. Or if I hold the option key, I can zoom out. Right? But I like using these sliders down here and the forward slash. All right. Everyone, find a place where you have two clips stuck together. And if you don't have a place where two clips are stuck together, you're really behind. Make two really quick. And because you've made a copy of your sequence, it doesn't matter if you're ruining this right now. Did you make a copy of your sequence? This is why I wanted you to do that and follow along. All right, let's learn some fun tools here. You have two other tool sets that I want to make you aware of that are really, really helpful. You have the ripple, roll, and rate, the R's, and you have the slips and slides, the S's. Okay? Why they're right next to each other on the toolbar, I don't know. It's frustrating. They decided to put razor right between them. I don't know why. And the hotkeys are dumb. Like the R is not rolling, right, and the slip is not Y. The two that I think are the most important or most handy are slip and rolling. But I'm going to show you them all just so you can kind of understand the difference. But if you walk away understanding slip and rolling, I'm very happy. Okay, so let's look at slip and rolling. So if I were timing something with the music, right? Or if I just wanted to make sure that this clip ends right with me fading back, right? Right now I'm on the close-up, right? I'm going to go to the slip tool. Everyone go to the slip tool. It might be set to the slide tool. And the slide tool looks like this. I'll talk about the slide in a second. But let's go to the slip tool. In the slip tool, what the slip tool does is it keeps the length of the clip in your sequence the exact same. So it does not change the edge of either side. It doesn't change the edge of either side at all. Okay? What it does is it changes the in and out point without having to go back here. So look, I have this thing selected up here, right? And if I go slide it, if I left click and hold, notice what's happening. It shows me the in and the out point of this clip. And so right now I want to get right where I'm doing a close-up, right there. That's a scary face. I have a very scary face. I'm sorry, everybody. Right? So now my clip ends with me right there. Right? Let me mute my sound. Again, maybe I want to change my mind. I want to keep that same clip length because maybe I have the cuts timed to the music or whatever. I have that exact amount of space, but I want to get it so when I start fading away, I want it to start with me being close up, right? And that's as far as I can go. So the slip lets you adjust the in and out points without changing where it is on your timeline. Very handy. This is also helpful for timing the music. If I can mark my clip, and that's a piece of action I want, and I can mark my sequence, and I wanted to line those two up, I can slip it until it gets right on top of each other. Very handy slip tool. The hotkey is Y. Why? I don't know. Okay, the slide is similar. The slide tool keeps the clip the same length, but it adjusts the other clips around it to fit. So the slide tool lets me move my clip, but it readjusts the in point of the ones touching it, the in and the out point. It's more obvious if I put one thing in front of it. Let me just put one more thing. Where's that piece of bad footage? Bad footage. There it is, right? So let me put that in front real quick. Whoop. Let's put it here. Trim it. Yes, James?
Where is the slide tool?
How do I get to the slide tool? Very good. They are both on your toolbar. Stop snapping. One more thing. If you guys get annoyed with the magnetism, you hit the magnet and now it won't snap and jump to certain places if you get annoyed with that. All right. So where's the slip? If you left click and hold, I can switch from the slip to the slide. And I don't find the slide as useful, but I just want to show it to you so you know, in case you're on the wrong tool. So I'm really showing you the slide tool in case you wanted to be on the slip tool and it's not behaving the way you wanted to. That's really the only reason why I'm showing you the slide tool. So the slide tool, it keeps the clip I'm selecting here, it'll keep the same in and out points and it'll keep the same length. But as I move it left or as I move it right, it pulls the in and out points from the other two clips. Okay? And someone might be saying, what's the big deal? I don't see the difference. The difference is, if I were to use my arrow tool and move my clip, it doesn't change the end point of the clip to the right of it, and it leaves a gap to the clip to the left of it. So it's kind of like I did this. It's the slip tool, the slide tool, When I move the slide tool here, that move is like I did this with the arrow. I slid this over, I expanded this, pulled this back, and then trimmed the out point here. So instead of doing how many clicks that was, 6, 7, or 8, I do it with 1. Okay? So some people might find that handy, some people don't. I really find the slip tool very handy. Okay, so undo all that. All right, next little handy dandy tool is the ripple tool. And Mr. G's getting old and I always get him mixed up, just want to double check. The rolling tool, the rolling tool. Ripple rolling rates, and Mr. G really likes the ripple tool. So, slip and slide, or the S's, deal with the clips in the middle. Deal with you adjusting the clip with those in and out points. It keeps the clip length. The slip and slide tool will always keep the clip that you're clicking on the same length. The ripple, roll, and rate tool deal with the seams or the edges. And so I really like the roll tool. And what the roll tool does is, now if I click on the edge here, it pulls the out point and adjusts the in point of the adjacent clip. So again, it's just meant to be quicker than using your mouse. So what the roll clip does, without me using the roll clip, is this. Take this guy, move it that way, take this guy, move it that way. I'm not saving that many clicks, right? I'm saving maybe 3 rather than just 6. Like the slide tool definitely took out a lot of clips. right? But the roll tool only takes out a few. But when we get to dialogue and we get to do a few other things, you're going to be doing that a lot, so it's really easy to just go to the roll tool and adjust. Okay, does everyone kind of understand the difference here? So it lets you kind of quickly adjust the seam instead of just having to deal with your mouse and pulling that around, right? The ripple, again, not as useful, I find, but the ripple, what it does is it lets you adjust one clip and it pushes the rest to the right. Do you guys see that? So I don't like the roll tool because, like, what if I had really good timing of clips down here to the right and then I push this out of the way? Boom, it just messed up the timing of everything else, right? So I don't like using that one as much. That's the ripple tool. I like the roll tool. And then the rate tool is why I saved this one for last, is because this does a speed adjustment. So let's say you like your end point, you like your out point, but your clip is too long. So instead of going back and trying to figure out what the speed is, if I go down here to the rate tool, or hotkey just straight up R, I'll pull this in and it speeds it up. So if you liked your end point and you liked your out point, you want to get that entire clip, but you want to make it shorter or faster, the rate tool lets you, if I grab the edge of it, where's my rate tool? Why can't I grab the edge? My rate tool, if I grab the edge of it, and look how far I can go, right? I can make it super duper long. And now it's in slow motion. Crazy. Now, am I expecting you to memorize all this stuff? No. What I'm expecting you to do is later, you're like, wait, Mr. G, you showed me that trick and how it can keep stuff and adjust it. What was that thing? And I'll be like, oh, that was the slide tool. So I want you to be aware of this right now. I don't want you to internalize it and make it like your home thing. If you do, great, right? But I want you to I want to raise awareness of all these other tools. Okay, let's do two more things. Let's talk about layering, right? New section. If you've tuned me out, let's talk about layering our text. Fiona, did you know about the slip and the slide and the rolling?
Yeah,
Good. Okay, cool. Taught the people from UCLA's film school something new. Good. All right. Let's talk layering real quick. This you probably know. All right. Some of you want to do picture-in-picture. Some of you want to overlay stuff. Some of you want to do a few things. So, you've already been doing layering with text. That's layering. You've been layering already. Okay? What you need to understand is with layering, okay? Everyone understand this concept. If it is above it on the tracks, it's above it visually. So sometimes people do this. Mr. G, I put text in, but I can't see it. Does everyone see that? This happens. Don't laugh. It happens. Mr. G, I can't see the text that I've been working on. What the hell, man? Right? It's because it's underneath the clip. So you've been doing layering already with text. So what you can do is you can take another piece. So I'm going to take this picture here, and I want to make it look like I'm talking to myself. Right? So I'm going to grab, where's my closet shot? There's my closet shot, and I'm going to plop my closet shot right in there like so. Mr. G, where'd my green shot go? There's my green room. There's me talking in the closet. Green room, closet, right? I want to see both. All right? So there's a couple things I'd like to show you. First thing I want to show you is the opacity line. Okay? So if you want to superimpose things, you have this thing here called the opacity line. It's right here. It's a very skinny line. It looks like the volume line in your songs, and you pull it down, and it makes the top layer more transparent. Please make sure, I love this spell, please make sure you're doing the top layer. Again, people play with the bottom line, and they're like, Mr. G, nothing's happening. Okay? So make sure it's the top layer. You pull it down, and now it's superimposed. Mr. G, I want to slowly make it transparent, and then slowly take it away transparency. I forget, class. Did I show you the pen tool with volume? Yes or no? No? I'm going to take that as a no. All right. There's another tool here called the pen tool. Everyone go over here. Or you can press P. Let's play with the pen tool with opacity. So I'm going to press P right here. Right, Cody? P. It's funny. Get it? P. All right. And then I'm going to make 4 dots with the pen tool. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 dots with the pen tool. And now I'm going to pull them down. I don't even need to be on the pen tool anymore. But I could stay on the pen tool. I'm going to pull the first one down. I'm going to pull the last one down. So that's at 0. So opacity is the antonym for transparency. So if something is 0% opacity, it's 100% transparent. If something is 100% opaque, it is 0 transparent, right? So now I'm going to take this middle line and move it down, okay? And so now I have this nice superimposed image. I'm not sure why I want that superimposed image. Like if I'm having a dream or a flashback, like I'm like, oh, remember the closet? Let's remember the closet. Oh, the closet was so wonderful. Oh, right? And then I transport back, right? So a superimposed shot like that is great for memories. So if your character's flashing back, that's a wonderful way to flash back, okay? But I know what Uroslav's been salivating for, right? Uroslav's been wanting, how do I do picture-in-picture, okay? So I'm going to get rid of the opacity here. I just pulled it all the way back, up. Or I can right-click on the dots. People want to know how to get rid of the dots. Right-click and delete. If you click on it, it'll delete the whole clip. So you right-click on the dots and hit delete. I know that takes a little time. There's a way to delete all of them under Edit. And one more delete. Okay. Boom. All right. Let's do some picture-in-picture stuff. Double-click on the clip that's on top. New stuff. Double-click on the clip that's on top. Okay? Make sure you're on the top one. Big importance. And I know I'm going fast. I'm going fast so that people have time to edit and people have time to film. And I'm almost done. And I'm recording this because in case I go too fast, you can come back and look at all this. All right. So if I go to the Effects tab here, I make sure you've double-clicked on this one. Right there. Make sure you double-click right there. Right? And then you hit the Effects tab right here. I like my tool. Right? Right below it, I have Scale and Position. I like to use the controls here. So I don't type stuff in. I left-click and hold on the blue, and I can zoom in or zoom out. Whoa! 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 Right? So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Something like that. And then I'm going to put myself in the upper right-hand corner. So it's always X, Y. If you see two numbers, it's always X, horizontal, Y, vertical. 1920 by 1080. 1920 pixels wide, 1080 pixels tall. It's always X, Y when you see a pair of numbers. Geometry lives in the real world, right? No, my geometry teacher was right, cursor. All right, so now I got a picture-in-picture. Maybe a little bit bigger, okay? And I know it's you could also type. You could also, I don't like doing this because I'm a control freak. You could also double-click on your image, and I get what's called a wireframe, and I can move it manually. So if you're more of a move around, if you're one of those kinesthetic persons, visual persons, right? You can double-click on the image, and you can move it around just fine. You can grab a corner, right? And it keeps it. If you want to stretch it, hold the Shift key. Oh no, grab the edges here. Oh no, hold the Shift key. There. No, hold the Command key. No, hold the Control key. No, hold the Option key. How to break that? I'll come back to you. I thought it was holding the Shift key that did it. Okay. I thought there was a hotkey for it. Yeah. So uniform scale, if you want to make myself look skinnier or fatter, right? You can do that too. There used to be a hotkey for it. All right. One last thing. Move scale. If you want to spin it around, you can rotate it. But you might be wondering, Mr. G, I don't want this junk. I just want you as a square, right? So here's the dumb thing. I'm calling Adobe dumb. You have rotation and scale and position. You have all the cool things right here under motion. But often when you want to do a picture-picture, you want to crop some of this junk out. You want to make it square. You want to make it different. They treat crop as a filter. And they don't use the word filter anymore. They use the word effects. So if I go to this menu here, it's in that same place where we found video transitions. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to type in, go to effects. Not effects up here. We'll get to these options later, but I like you to go to effects down here. And you're going to go find video effects, and we're going to explore a lot of these later. This is why I was reluctant to teach you this, because it opens up a whole new world for you to play with, which we're going to play with in a little bit anyway. And you're going to find the effect folder called Transform, and you're going to find the word Crop. And you're going to have to drag that over on top of your clip. Now, if you're like, Mr. G, I can't memorize that. That's a lot to click through, right? Just remember the word crop, and I can go right up here to my search and type in C-R-O-P, and it will show me exactly where to go for crop. So all you got to remember is it's called cropping. So now I can drag crop over here, boom, and down below, I have left, top, right, and bottom. And again, what I like to do is just left click on the blue and trim that up. There we go. And then maybe right. There you go. And I believe if I click on there, I can actually do it visually as well. If I click on the words, I can kind of trim myself up. There you go. So now I am superimposed in a nice little square as I'm talking to myself in slow motion. Very handy. And then this is also why I showed you the slip and slide tool. I have this measured out, but I want it to be slightly different. Like I kind of go off camera right there. So I can use the slide tool and not mess with other stuff and just kind of adjust where I am on this shot and slip and slide it around until it fits just right. So these tools that I also showed you, ripple, slip, and slide, they also are very handy when you start superimposing stuff. Okay, so I believe, before I answer questions, let's see. Move scale, so rotate, opacity line, layering the video text, ripple rolling. If you don't get all of the things under ripple, rolling, rate, slip, and slide, slip and rolling are the important ones, but as long as you understand the concepts. And then speed adjustments, rate, I really like the rate tool for that, but you can also just right click and change the duration. Right click, oops, make sure you're in your selection tool. Make sure your selection tool there. Right click, and you say change your speed duration. That was the other thing I wanted to remind you of. Okay, and I finished before 10, which is what my goal was. So, what you can do now is you can do a couple things. Some of you are just editing your rough cut. Remember, you were supposed to be on a sandbox sequence, go back to your upcut or your rough cut. I want to see duplicate sequences. Sit down, Cody, just wait for a second. Right, I want to see duplicate sequences, so make sure you're duplicating that. You should have been on a sandbox. Make sure you get rid of that sandbox, so you don't accidentally go back to it and ruin your project, right? If you need to co-film, make sure you're getting a pass. You guys have been great with checking out the equipment and putting the equipment back. You have until, if you're checking out equipment, you have until 10:45. The class ends at 10:50. So 10:50 is when the class ends. Be back at 10:45. If you're working and need help, I'm going to deal with the people getting equipment first and then come around and help people edit. Thank you.